What's up, folks? This is Justin from Books, Bricks, and Boards. A couple of months back, I did a video reviewing Draw Steel, a game I really like. Unfortunately, the folks I play with don't like it as much. So, what's a guy to do? Well, you know me, I don't mind doing a little solo RPG, and I even hinted at how I would solo Draw Steel in that prior video. Unfortunately, that didn't work as well as I had hoped, so I went back to the drawing board and created my own solo draw steel tool, which I'm going to share with you for free today. I'm also going to do an instructional playthrough to kind of give you an idea of how the game plays, and I'm going to show you how you can create a character with a custom character sheet in less than 5 minutes. Draw Steel is an incredible tactical role-playing game, and there is a lot to like about it. So, without further ado, let's draw steel alone. What's up, folks? First things first, if you do enjoy this video, after you're done watching it, please make sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Then, if you have the ability, think about giving it a hype, because that's all going to help me get this content out to more gamers like yourself. If you see something here in the video, be it my terrain, my minis, the game, or anything else, you can just about bet that it's available at channel sponsor Noble Knight Games. If you decide that you need to pick any of this stuff up for yourself, check out my affiliate link for Noble Knight Games in the description of this video. If you're looking for a place to discuss games and talk about the ins and outs of games like Draw Steel, consider joining the Books, Bricks, and Boards Discord server. The link to that is also in the description of this video. Lastly, if you want to partake in the membership program, you'll get some early video access and shout outs during videos, as well as occasional exclusive content. Starting at only $3 a month, it's a great way to show you enjoy the channel, and it's a great way to keep me doing this. With all that out of the way, let's look at some character creation. All right, so here in less than 5 minutes, I'm going to show you how to build a character using the Forge Steel app. You start by going to the new hero, and then you choose your ancestry of all the different ancestries available. Once you click on one, it's going to give you all of the options that you can choose when building your race. Remember, ancestries in Draw Steel, you build their power set. It's not a set thing that they get. All of them can be built a little bit differently from a menu of choices. Whenever you choose your culture, that's kind of your upbringing, and it allows you to choose from a list of skills related to the things that would have influenced you while your character was being brought up as a child and a young adult. The skills in Draw Steel are not as important as they are in some RPGs, but getting a +2 on a 2d10 roll is still really good. When you get to your career, that's going to be the thing that you did for a living whenever you were getting started, before you were an adventurer. That's going to give you some more skills related to that career path, and you're also going to have to choose why you left that career. So that is your inciting incident. You're also going to get a perk, which gives you some special abilities. So with this character, I was a gladiator, and I had to leave the gladiatorial arena because I wanted to be an adventurer. So I'm going to choose a fury here. That's the class that the character is. Classes in Draw Steel give you your powers, your signature abilities, and your 3-point and 5-point abilities. I'm choosing my characteristics here. Those are always going to be 2 2s for your primary characteristics, and then the others will be built on an array choice. So I'm getting to choose some more skills for the class, and then I will get to choose another signature ability that is related to the class. These can be damage dealers, they can be utility. The 3-point ability is going to use some of my fury, which every character class has its own heroic resource to use.
5-point ability is going to take a lot of my fury, and so it's going to be the thing that I use probably on the big boss and won't get used very often. Then I'm going to get some more skills because of the class, and after I get that chosen, then I'm going to get to choose my kit. Kits are really cool because they detail what type of weapons and armor that you use, and they are not predetermined by your class. So if you wanted to have an archer sensor, that's the cleric type class, you could certainly do that. Not all of these are going to be perfect fits, but it is great that you have that choice. Now I'm choosing the complication, and this complication is from a list of like 100 of these, and some of them are quite game changing. You can have a magical weapon that's cursed, or you could be an immortal. You can be an exile. There's lots of different choices here. All of them will help spark the story, and they'll also give you a little bit of a perk for role-playing your character the way they were intended. Overall, the character creation process is a dream using the Forge Steel app. Now, before I found out about this, I was kind of overwhelmed at building a character in Draw Steel because there's a lot of choices and even more writing down of what you need. But when you use this Forge Steel app, it will actually create a PDF for you that you can print out that has cards for all of your abilities, cheat sheets, and a great way to track everything that you need to track in the game. As you can see here, it takes just a second. You export it to a PDF, and then you print it out, and you've got like a 4 or 5 page character sheet that looks great. If you have a picture to embed, you can even put your portrait right there in the character sheet. So here I go. Less than 5 minutes, I have a fully playable Fury that used to be a gladiator, but he's an exile from a faraway land. And that is how easy it can be to create a character on Draw Steel, Forge Steel.
So I showed you how to create a character in less than 5 minutes, but let's show you the character that I'm going to use today. So I am using a sensor that is going to be the Draw Steel equivalent of a paladin, and my character's name is Sir Markant of House Davroth. So he is essentially a paladin. You can see his different statistics here: might, agility, reason, intuition, and presence. These work like modifiers would in a game like D&D. I have my stamina, which is going to be equivalent to hit points in most games. Wounded is whenever you've taken, or winded rather, is when you have taken half of your damage, and dying is when you equal your negative winded value. Every time I use a recovery, I get 11 stamina back, and I can use 14 of those in a single session. Potencies we'll get into later if they come up. Wrath is my heroic resource for my sensor. That's going to power my special moves. Victories is going to be where I keep track of the battles that I've completed. Those will actually have an impact on the game, which we'll view a little bit later. Now, the equipment and modifiers may seem a little slim. That's because most of that is abstracted. You choose a kit for many classes, like this one, which determines what kind of weapon and armor that you use, and that's just converted into a bonus to your stamina, your stability, your damages, so on and so forth. So I am the Shining Armor kit, meaning that I use heavy armor and a shield and a medium weapon. As you can see, the character sheet has all of the things that I can do on a turn, but basically you're going to get a move action, a main action, and a maneuver, and you can do one triggered action. On the back here, I've got all the things that I am proficient in skill-wise. I get a +2 to any rolls doing those things. Probably won't do a lot of that today. This is going to be a hack and slash game. I also have my complication, which is my leveled weapon. It gives me a +1 to my damage, but I have weakness to fire. On the back page here, I've got the cards for all of my different abilities, signature abilities, and moves, and things that I can do that are special for my sensor. That has everything that I need to know to be able to utilize these in the game. Then on the very back, I have some handy cheat sheets for how different skills work in the game. That is the Draw Steel character sheet. Here is my free solo tool for Draw Steel. I'm not going to read this whole thing to you. You'll see how it works as we play through. But basically, this is going to be useful for having a simple dungeon crawl. Typically, you're going to have 6 to 8 rooms. This time I only built 5 because I wanted this to be a little bit quicker because I am going to be doing a lot of explaining of how to play the game while we're going through, and I don't want this video to be 2 hours long. Whenever you populate the rooms, I have some tables for that. These tables are intended for small groups, 4 players or less, and for low levels. You could easily take the template I built here and build out your own. I've got 2 different versions, one for undead and one for goblins and orcs, and you can kind of pick and choose. As far as corridors, if I had any, I've got some rules in there for wandering monsters. For enemy AI, basically they're going to always attack the closest character, and they're going to try to split themselves up evenly amongst the characters the same way that they would in a game like Hero Quest or Warhammer Quest. In the event that there was an Oracle question that needed to be answered as a yes or no, I'm using a fate die. You could use a d6 if you don't have a fate die. 1 to 2 would be a minus, 3 to 4 would be a blank, and 5 to 6 would be a plus sign. I swear there's some other signs besides blanks on here, but I am not rolling them. There's a minus. So with that in mind, that is also how we determine what we run into. So there's a little bit of randomness to it. So in Draw Steel, you have an encounter strength that you're going to be using a formula to determine based upon the level of your character and how many victory points that they have earned. Because the victory points are going to give them some extra heroic resources at the beginning of each battle. So as you get more victory points, it actually increases your encounter strength. So what we're going to do is determine our encounter strength at the beginning of each room, and then we're going to roll one of these. So I rolled a plus. So if my encounter strength was a 12, that's where I'm going to start. Since I rolled a plus, I go down 1 tier to an 18. That means I battle 4 goblin warriors and an orc rampart. I got the page numbers from the Draw Steel Monsters book right there. For my own purposes, I've actually printed all these out from my PDFs, but I couldn't include those in the free tool because those belong to MCDM. So if you want this, the free tool, you are welcome to it. It is on the Discord that I talked about at the beginning of the video. I did also include a small quest inspiration table that I took from my own solo oracle, the Omni Oracle, which is also available for free on my Discord. So that'll give a little bit more flavor to the game that you're playing. And with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and draw steel. So what we have here is a snake god temple. And as you can see, I have the rooms laid out in a basic 5-room dungeon of different sizes and shapes of rooms. And I've kind of populated them with different articles that would indicate what kind of purpose those rooms might have. So what we're going to do is as we go into each room, we're going to roll and see what kind of encounter we're going to get. So as a level 1 character, I am going to have an encounter strength of 6 because my encounter strength is going to be 4 plus 2 per level. So since I'm a level 1, that's going to be 6. So as I open the doors to the Snake Temple, which apparently I have some sort of an idea of what the layout is going to be. Perhaps they have taken over and blasphemed the temple of my own religion, and that's why I'm coming to clean this out. So I would open the door and I roll, and I get a blank. So that is going to be a 6. And we're going to start with orcs and goblins. So, encounter strength 6. I'm going to have 2 goblin warriors, and that's it. So I will grab a couple of goblin warriors. By the way, these neat little colorized standees come from the HeroQuest First Light board game, which you can pick up for 40 or 50 bucks, and has lots of great stuff in it, including some nice minis that you can paint for the heroes as well. So we're going to place the enemies in a way that makes sense for this particular situation, and then we are going to determine initiative. Now, in Draw Steel, first thing you're going to do is determine if anybody is surprised. I don't think that either side is surprised necessarily here. In that event, we will roll a single d10. On a 6 to 10, the hero will go first. Anything below that, the villains will go first. So that's a 10, so my hero is going to get to act first. Remembering, I get a move, a maneuver, and an action. Before we get too far, though, I need to generate some wrath. So the villains are going to get some malice. That's going to be their answer to heroic resources. They get the average victory points of the heroes, which right now is 0 because I haven't had any battles yet. And they also get 1 for each round. So since this is round 1, they're going to get 1 malice for that. Each hero has their own heroic resources. The censor is getting wrath. And you get some for your victory points at the beginning of each battle. Plus, there is a formula that's different for each one. For a censor, you get 2 at the start of your turn. Plus, you get 1 each time that you damage a creature judged by you in the first round, or the first time each round. And then you also get 1 each time that a creature judged by you damages you the first time each round. So judging is a maneuver that is available to the censor, and it's similar to the way that a ranger might be able to mark a target. So I've got a speed of 5, so I can maneuver, or move rather, because maneuver is a separate type of action. I can move 1, 2, 3, 4. By the way, I took out the door so you can see a little bit better. And I can then take my maneuver action to judge this goblin here, which is going to allow me to generate more wrath. Besides generating more wrath, whenever my judged creature takes a main action in my line of sight, I can take a free triggered action to do holy damage equal to twice my presence score, which is 2, so I do 4 damage each time they take their main action. So that's pretty significant. For the enemies, I have them all on these sheets printed out. And so the Goblin Warriors are pretty basic. So here we have a 1 size. The S means that they're small. They can move 6 spaces each turn, a little faster than me. They have 15 stamina, and they have 0 stability. Stability reduces forced movement. They do 1 damage with their free strikes, which is important for enemy models. And whenever they attack, they'll roll 2d10 plus 2, and then based upon whether they get less than or equal to 11, 12 to 16, or 17 plus, they do different amounts of damage. Their signature ability is basically just damage. Now, with these simple AI monsters for my solo version, they're always going to use the malice for the best attack that they have available. So they have an ability called Bury the Point. So on their first action, they're going to use that using the 2 malice that they have that they started with, and that is going to allow them to do a better action. But it's still my turn right now. I have used my move to move up here. I've used my maneuver to judge them. And now I'm going to use one of my signature abilities to attack. I have 2 Wrath, so I could potentially be able to do one of my fancier abilities as early as next turn. So I am going to use my attack that's called Your Allies Cannot Save You. That's one of the things about the Draw Steel game. All of the attacks, the abilities, they all have these very evocative titles. Kind of reminds me of the way that it was done in Tunnels and Trolls. So whenever you take a power roll in this game, you roll 2d10. If you get a natural 19 or 20, that's a critical, and you get to take an extra main action that turn. So I am going to be looking to roll, hopefully, a 17 plus, because that would be 13 points of holy damage. Now, if I roll even, say, a 2, well, that's still going to be 8 points of holy damage. Kind of like Nimble, another game that I really love. You don't miss in Draw Steel. Nimble you can miss, Draw Steel you can't. You're always going to do some damage. This is a game about heroes, and it's a game that is very cinematic in its depiction of combat. So you're not ever going to have a pillow fighting back and forth doing nothing. You're getting things done when you're playing this game. So I'm going to roll my attack. And I got a 10 and a 3, 13 plus 2 is a 15. So I did 10 points of holy damage to my judged target. He has 16 or 15 stamina, so he's got 5 stamina left. That is my turn. Now they get to take their turn. And they get to do the same kind of things that I could do. They get to move, maneuver, and make a main action. They do have 2 points of malice. As I said, they're going to use that right off the bat. And the goblin that is next to me, he is going to go ahead and use Bury the Point. He's going to try to give me a bleeding attack here. So he rolls his roll and he gets a 4. That's less than an 11. So even though he rolled the lowest possible result, he is going to do 5 damage. And if my might was less than 0, I would be bleeding. But Sir Marcont's might is a 2, so he doesn't have to worry about that. So I am going to take 5 points of damage. We'll track how much I've taken instead of how much I have left there. And then that ends his main, as he just gave me the best that he's got, and he did very little with it. And I nearly killed him with the magical blade that I used against him, which was my the feature of my complication. I had a cursed magical blade. Makes me vulnerable to fire, but it gives me a bonus to damage. Actually, that's right. I get an extra point of damage on him too. So he's taken 11 of his 15 because of the magical blade. So he's got 4 hit points left. He just gave me his best shot, and he didn't hardly scratch me. So I think he probably wants to get away from me. So he is going to do a maneuver. He could do a shift to move 1 away and not provoke an attack of opportunity. Unfortunately, if he did that, he would still be in range of me. So what he's going to do, I think, is try to run away. Let's ask the Oracle. So we've got our fate die here. Reminder, if you don't have a fate die, you want to use a d6. 1 to 2 is a negative. 3 to 4 is a blank. And 5 to 6 is a plus. So the Oracle is going to be negatives or no's. Pluses are yeses. If you get a blank, you roll again, and it's a stronger form of whatever you end up with, a plus or a minus eventually. So is he going to run away? And I'm going to roll this twice, taking the lower or the higher of the two. So if it doesn't roll a plus on the first one, but does on the second, we're going to take the one that is more likely to be a plus or a blank over a minus. So we roll, that's a minus and a plus. So kind of like rolling with advantage if you're familiar with D&D 5e. So he rolled a, and this is all explained in my Steel Quest free solo document. So yes, he wants to run away, and that is very much in his goblin nature. So as he does, though, I get a free strike on him as my triggered action. And my free strike, my melee free strike, I roll, I got an 8 plus 2 is a 10, so it's the lowest possible one, but it does 7 damage, plus 1 for my sword, 8 damage, so I cut him down as he tries to run away from me. Reminder, I also damaged my my target of my judgment, and he damaged me, so I've gained 2 more wrath from that. But they're not done. They've got more dudes. So this guy is going to act, and he is going to move up, and he is going to attack me with his spear. He has no wrath, so he is going to use a maneuver first, and his maneuver is going to be to try to push me back, I think. Actually, he'll attack and then push me back. So he'll attack first. So he got a 6 plus 2 is 8, is still the lowest possible result. So he does 3 damage. I did forget, because I killed my judge target, I get to declare a new one as a free triggered action. So he's going to be my judge target now. So he does 3 damage to me, which is the first time he has damaged me this turn as my judge target. So that's going to be another wrath. I'm going to take 3, so that puts me at 8 that I've taken. And then he is going to attempt to do a knockback. So he is going to, oh, he's smaller than me. He can't do a knockback. And a grab is really not going to be good for him. I guess he doesn't really have a great maneuver option. So he's not going to do a maneuver this round. That's unfortunate. But he's already moved, he's already attacked. So that's the end of the round. So round 2, they're going to get 0 for my number of victory points, plus 1 for my hero, because there's 1 hero, plus 2 for the round number. So now they've got 3 malice. Now I, at the start of my turn, I'm going to get 2 extra malice. This puts me to 7. Now, you can see how this, I guess it's not malice for me, it's wrath. But my heroic resource can rack up pretty quickly. All of them are a bit like this. But I can use my 3-point or my 5-point abilities now. I'm not going to, because I'm probably going to need these against something bigger here pretty soon. So I am going to go ahead and do a maneuver. I am going to try to push him back into the wall, and you'll see why here in a minute. So I got a 10 plus my might, which is 2, so 12. And I'm performing this knockback maneuver. So that is a push 2. So I'm pushing him 2 back into the wall that he's adjacent to. Now, draw steel is great about making the environment part of the game. If this were a barbarian that specialized in pushing, he could potentially push 6 or 7 or 8 or 10 spaces. But you're thinking, well, but he's only going to go back 1 because there's the wall there, right? Well, yes, but Because there is the wall there, he's going to take damage when he hits it equal to the number of spaces remaining. Also, if there's enough spaces left over, you can actually push them through those things and break the walls down. And there's different rules for pushing through wood or brick or steel or whatever. So it's just a really cool way to represent some of those cinematic things that you see in movies that you don't usually get to do in games. So I push him into the wall with my maneuver, and in the fiction, I would see this as maybe using my shield to slam him back into the wall before I'm going to open him up with my sword. So he takes 2 damage from that, and that is the first time that I've damaged my judged target in the turn. So that puts me up to 8. Then I am going to go ahead and do the same attack that I did before. It's a signature ability, and that is going to be your allies cannot save you. And I rolled a 1-1. So I rolled the lowest possible result. So I got 8 holy damage, 9 because I've got a magical sword. So even with rolling the worst possible result, because I am so much more powerful than this goblin, I'm doing 9 points of damage to him. He's only got 15 stamina. So that is how Draw Steel makes combats exciting, and they never get dull. Also, there's a lot of interaction between the different heroes. If I was playing more than one, you would see that, but it'd be too much to manage at the table while on camera right now. Need to get a little more comfortable with the system before I do that. So he's taken 11 points of damage now, but he is going to get his action now. He saw how it worked for his buddy when his buddy tried to get away, and I just cut him down as he was trying to run away. So he is not going to do that. He is going to use Bury the Point and try to stick me with his spear good. So that is his 2 malice action, which will take him down to 1 remaining. My guess is he's dead before he gets to use the rest. So I rolled a 4 with 2 points of a bonus. He gets a 6. Again, lowest possible result. So I'm going to take another 5 points of damage, which means I've taken a total of 13 of my 33 now. This is because I have that heavy armor. If I had chosen a kit that had no armor or light armor, I would have a lot less stamina to work with, but I might have higher speed, or I might get better options for damage. That's how the kits play out in the game. And you can flavor that heavy armor whatever you want it to be. It could be dragon scales, or it could be chainmail, or it could be plate mail, whatever you want that to be. My weapon, a medium weapon, could be a longsword, or it could be an axe, or it could be a hammer, it could be a mace, whatever you want it to be. Doesn't matter, that part is abstracted. So I've taken my damage. He's got a move and a maneuver left. There's not much that he can do with it as a lone enemy at this point in time. If he had his buddy, he could potentially do an aid action, but his buddy died too quickly. So we're going to go back to round 3. I'm going to gain my 2 for starting the round. Oh, and I gained 1 for him damaging me too. So I am at 11, and he is going to get 1 plus 3, 4, which gives him 5 because he had 1 left from last round. So I've got 11 wrath, and he's got 5 malice. I really don't need any of that for killing this little goblin. That's kind of overkill at this point. So I am going to go ahead and use my knockback again, slam him with the shield, and I got a 10 plus 2 is a 12. So that is going to be a medium result on the knockback ability. So another 2 spaces right back into the wall. So 2 points of damage, bringing him to 13 damage taken. And then I am going to strike him down with my signature ability again. Your allies cannot save you. I rolled a 6 plus 2 is 8. Again, horrible. But I do 8 points plus 1 for my magic sword, 9 points of damage, which is enough to slay him. So there is our first encounter down. Now, since I did not use my wrath, it goes away because you lose any wrath at the end of the encounter that is not used. Right now, we're not in round mode because there's no enemies on the board, so I can pretty much do whatever I need to do. I am going to take one of my recoveries, and so I'm going to use 1 and gain 11 hit points or stamina back. So now I've only taken 2 damage instead of the 13 that I had. You might be wondering, well, you know, this is kind of neat. It shows you how the combat works, but there's not really any story at all. Well, okay. You know, I did tell you that we're in a snake temple, and these may be worshipers of that. But, you know, what we could do is we could also roll for quest inspiration. Probably would have done this up front, but, you know, we're just trying to get into the flow of things here. So I'm going to grab a 6-sided die and roll a goal, a target, and a reward. We'll see what happens. So we're going to roll goal, 1, eliminate. Going to roll target, 6, supplies. And we're going to roll reward, 6, work. So by destroying some supplies, I'm going to get work, a steady source of monetary rewards. Monetary rewards for this system is going to be the equivalent of extra victory points. By the way, I gained a victory point for this combat. So, you know, maybe the church has sent me on this mission to help cleanse some of the realm of this snake cult that has taken over large areas of the world. And if I can prove myself to be valorous enough to do this deed, then I will get more opportunities to do the same in the future. So that's what we're going to go with. And so that gives you a little bit of story to get you going. Now, because I have a victory, now I have a victory point. I get to add this to my starting wrath at the beginning of the next encounter. So I have a choice to make. Do I want to go to the west, to the east, or to the north? The north has this fancy door. The east has a standard door, and the west has a standard door. I think I'm going to go through the fancy door. Let's see what happens. So I open the doors, and I see, looks like a few bedrolls, a sleeping area. So let's roll and see what kind of encounter I get. So I got a plus. My encounter strength is still 6, but since I rolled a plus, I'm going to jump up to a 12. So this time there's going to be 2 goblin warriors and an orc rampart. Now, the way I set up this room, it looks like a place where they would be resting potentially. Now, they wouldn't only rest in there, so it's not necessarily always going to be a surprise situation, but I think there is at least a chance, so let's ask the Oracle. On a plus roll, it is going to be a yes, they are surprised. Minus, no, they're not. So probably what happened was they heard the combat in the other room, which woke them up, and they are prepared whenever I kick in the door. So I have 3 enemies that I'm going to have to face, and 2 of them are the Goblin Warriors that you're familiar with already, and the third is going to be the Orc Rampart. As you can see, he has a lot more hit points, 59. He also has 2 stability, which is going to prevent me from pushing him very far. And his weapon does considerably more damage. Now, once again, I went ahead and took out the door so that you can see a little bit better in the room, but in reality, it's going to be considered to be there. So I start with 2 wrath plus 1 for my victory point. And then they start with 2 wrath. Well, 2 malice. I will say, because everything has its own heroic resource, it does get a little bit confusing with the terminology, but it adds flavor to the game. It's worth it. So, first things first, since they were not surprised, I need to roll to see who gets initiative. 6 plus, the hero does. 5, so they're going to get initiative. So when you have multiple enemies, you can have them each go on their own, or you can group certain categories. So I think I'm going to group the goblins together as one, and then the orc is going to be his own. So we'll go with the orc first. He has a move of 6, so he can go 1, 2, 3, right there. And then for his maneuver, we're going to have him give me a taste of my own medicine, maybe? No, he's going to try to grab me. So he's going to use a grab maneuver. And he got a 12 plus his might. So that's right there. So you can grab the target, but if you do, the target can make a melee free strike against you before they are grabbed. So I don't think he's going to be willing to take damage for this. He's going to give up his grab and not grab me so that he avoids the free attack. And then he is going to go ahead and attack me. His attack, he is going to use my spear, my foe. And so he rolls. You got a 4 plus 2 is going to be 6, which is the lowest result, which is just 6 damage. So I take 6 damage, which puts me at 8 damage taken. Now that's the end of his turn unless he wanted to move. He doesn't. He wants to be right up next to me. So I'm going to take my actions. I already gained my 2 at the start of my turn. So I gained my wrath a little bit early. That's okay. I think, though, because this guy is going to be a little bit more difficult to take down, I am going to use Behold, a shield of faith. A mighty blow turns your foe's vitality into a holy light that envelops you and an ally, discouraging enemies who might attack you. But before that, I'm going to judge him. That way, I get to generate some wrath whenever I hit him and when he hits me in the future. Also, I can do the judgment damage, holy damage to him. I didn't do that last combat. I need to remember that. So I am going to do my judgment as a maneuver. Then I'm going to do Behold, a shield of faith. It costs me 3 wrath, which is all my wrath right now. I roll my dice. I got a 9 plus a 2 is an 11. Still the lowest result. Wah, wah. So it does 8 plus 1 for my magical sword. So I do 9 points of damage. He's got 50 stamina left, so that's not enough to get a good start. Now, the goblins get to go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 1, 2, 3, 4. Right there. Technically, I should have gone with each of them individually, did their move, their action, and everything, but I wanted to save a little bit of time and effort there, so I moved them both. Now I'm going to do their actions. So the goblins each have maneuvers, and they are going to do aid and attack. So choose an adjacent enemy. The next power roll an ally makes against them before the start of your next turn has an edge. So the first one is going to do aid and attack for the second one. So the first one won't benefit from it, but the second one will get an edge. That's going to be a +2 to his power roll. The first one, you can't really do a knockback. You can't grab, wouldn't help him. So he's just going to come up and attack. He got a 10 +2 is a 12. So he's going to get his medium result. And so, and he didn't have enough he did have enough. So he'll do bury the point. So 6 damage. And here is our potency check. So when you see this notation here, hopefully you can see that. So M less than 1, that means might less than 1, you get this result, bleeding. But my might is not less than 1. So it's just 6 damage. So I'll take the 6 damage. Meaning I've taken 14 now. Ouch. I'm nearly winded. So that sucks. And then we still have another goblin left who's going to take a regular spear charge attack, and he gets an edge on it, so he gets a +2. So he is going to roll a 7, +2 is a 9. So lowest result, 3 damage. Now I am winded, so I am at 17 taken of my 33. Round 2, I get my 2 wrath at the beginning of my turn. And I guess I should have gotten 1 for getting, no, because I judged him after he'd already attacked me. So I should have gotten 1 for hitting him. So so I have 1 +2. I'm going to have 3 once it's my turn. I've got 1 until it's my turn. And then at the start of their turn, they're going to get 1 for the hero +2 for round 2. So they've got 3 wrath, and I've got 1, but I will have 3 on my turn. Theirs isn't wrath, it's malice. So the orc gets to go first again, and the orc is going to go ahead and use his maneuver to shift, or his move rather, to shift. So you can shift 1 space. The reason he's going to do that is to create a flanking bonus. So he's going to give an edge to both of those enemies. Now he's going to use his maneuver to try to grab me again. And he got a 7 +2 is a 9. Not good enough to grab me. Now he's going to attack me with his spear. My spear, my foe, but he rolled a 1-1. +2 is a 3, or 4. So he does 6 points damage, the minimum he could do. That's good for me because I've taken 23 points of damage now. So I know what I'm doing with my maneuver. I'm going to use my catch breath ability, which everybody has and allows you to use a recovery to gain your recovery value back in stamina. So I'm going to get 11 hit points back. So now I've only taken 12. I'm no longer winded. That was my maneuver. I'm not going to move. I am going to attack the orc. I probably should have started by attacking the goblins and eliminating them, because they would have been quicker to eliminate, get some damage off the board. But I started with the orc, and I'm kind of bought in now. No, you know what? I'm going to switch. I'm going to change horses midstream here. because I think I might be able to kill this goblin. So I am going to do my 3-point Behold, a Shield of Faith. And so that is going to do some holy damage. And it is also going to give enemies um, a Bane on ability rolls against me until my next turn. So it'll eliminate the flanking bonus, basically. And I got a 9 and a 3 is a 12 plus 2 is a 14. That's 11 points of holy damage plus 1 from a magical weapon. 12 points of damage to the goblin right there. I don't gain any wrath because he is not the one that I targeted with my judgment. That's okay. I do gain 1 for when the orc damaged me, though, because he is my judge target. And I can actually do, need to remember, I could do double my presence to my judgment candidate whenever they take their main action. So he's taken 14 of his 59 now, even though I didn't attack him this turn. He took some from my righteous aura. But so I did 12 points of damage to the goblin right next to me, and they all take a Bane attacking me this turn. Now the 2 goblins get to go. The first one is going to aid the second one, which would give a double edge, which would automatically raise the result by 1 tier. But since I have my Shield of Faith up, that eliminates the one that would be granted from the um, flanking. So I am going to now attack with that goblin. 14 and 2 is 16. And they do have some malice. They'll spin that. So that is going to be a middle result, 6 damage, bleeding if might is less than 1, which it is not. So I'm going to take 6 damage. Puts me at 18 taken. And then the second goblin has been aided by the maneuver of the first goblin. So he is going to get an additional plus 2. And he rolls a 17. Good thing he did not roll a 19 or a 20, because that would have given him an extra main action, and I might be dead. So I am going to take the maximum damage, which is 5, which puts me at 23 taken. Yikes. Now we're on to turn 3, so they're going to start with 4 wrath, or 4 malice. I'm going to begin my turn when I get to my turn with 2 wrath. So, but it's the orc's turn first, and the orc is going to try to grab me again. And 5-7, he does not grab me again. I'm a slippery little guy. And then he's going to use my Spear My Foe. And he attacks. He gets a 15 plus 2, 17. He does not get the flanking bonus because I've got my shield, so he gets a Bane and an Edge. They balance each other out. So you got a 17, which is still going to be 12 points of damage, which takes me to 35 points damage taken. So I am at -2 stamina, which means I'm bleeding. And while I am dying and bleeding, which I am dying now, then I can still act until I'm dead. But I take bleeding damage each round, and when I reach my negative winded condition, I'm dead. And I can't take my catch breath ability. I can't use that while I'm dying. Now, normally, if you had teammates, they could allow you to do that even though you were dying. But since I'm soloing this, I don't get that option. So it's a little bit harder. So there is no way that my character is not going to die here. And every time he takes his main action, he's going to take some damage. So let's see what happens. It's my turn. I've got 2 + 1 for my target of my judgment attacking me, damaging me. So I am going to use my Behold a Shield of Faith ability again, and I don't really have a maneuver that is going to be helpful for this situation because, like I said, I can't use my catch breath ability. So I'm just going to attack and see what happens. So I got a 6 + 2 is 8. So the lowest possible. Do 9 points of damage because of the uh, the magic sword. But also when he attacked me, I should have done an extra 4 points of damage due to my divine presence with him being my judgment target. Still, he's only taken 27 of his stamina, so he is not even winded yet. And I just took a main action, which means since I am bleeding, I am going to lose a d6 plus my level stamina. So I'm going to lose 3 more stamina, which is going to bring me up to -5. Get the one that's got the eraser on it. And then it's going to be the goblin's turns. First goblin is going to aid the second, give him that bonus. And the first one attacks me. He is going to use his 2-point malice attack. Does a little bit more damage. So does 5 damage, puts me at -10. Did not get a bleed effect, but I'm already bleeding anyway, so that's not going to be that much of a big deal. So the second goblin, after the first one aided an attack, the second one is going to, he's going to do an aid for the orc and then attack. And he gets a 17 + 2 is a 19. So, and he had 2 malice left. So he's going to do max damage, which is 7, which puts me at -17, which is enough to finish off Sir Markant of House Davroth. Cause of death? Goblin pincushion. Look at those absolute legends. Keith, Simone, Dengar the Mighty, Joke, Blue Rose Lion, Agile Monk, Bjorn, I Am Not Tim, Chronic Axe, Reed Miller, Blake Dell, and Mike the Hammer. Special thanks to Prowlinor, Acene Dean, Steve Grodzicki, Spinning Toehold, Neuromancer, and Simon Templar. So there you have it. That is how combat works in Draw Steel. So you got an idea of kind of how the maneuvers and the actions and the moves work. You've got an idea of how quickly fortunes can turn, and you have learned that being outnumbered is a big deal in a tactical style of combat game. So probably you are going to want to play with more than one hero. This made the game a little bit quicker, and it was easier to track with just one hero's abilities to look after. Each character in Draw Steel is going to have just as many special abilities and maneuvers as this one had. So it's a lot to track if you're playing multiple characters. But if you're playing this as a cooperative game, which you can with my tool, then you can actually do four heroes quite comfortably with 4 players and have the enemies controlled by the AI. Again, this is my Steel Quest solo co-op tool, and it is available on the Books, Bricks, and Boards Discord server, which is linked in the description of the video. And the game is Draw Steel by MCDM. And if you have not checked it out yet, you should give it a look. If you want to see more about this game from me, you can check out my Draw Steel video, and I will link that at the end of this video. But until next time, this has been Justin from Books, Bricks, and Boards. Good gaming, and God bless.